with somebody's mailbox? That's a federal offense. Okay.
All right, we'll call this city council meeting to order. If we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doing roll call, we have all council members present. Do we have any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to adopting the agenda. I know we have a couple of modifications. We'll be adding the discussion of the mini-split air conditioning system for the Rum River BMX, or the Isanti Indoor Arena, I probably should say. And we're going to be adding discussion on the mailbox parking. Anything else that we're going to add or change?
So we'll add the Rum River BMX for Isanti Indoor Arena, just item to consent, if that's okay.
Okay.
So that'll be L4, and correct, the mailbox discussion will be business item K4. And just to make note, we did republish the agenda, but we want to make note that we did remove K1B, resolution to consider approving the cannabis license for Isanti Smoke Shop Plus on their behalf. They'll be moving that to a later date. And then moving L2, which was consider approving donation box at the liquor store to the business items, please.
Motion to approve with the changes.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Merrill and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion to adopt the agenda carries 5-0.
They just had words coming, kind of like.
Well, I was just waiting to say I had a motion from,
Oh, I just think you're gonna say, what are you gonna do here?
no, no,
I
no,
was waiting for that.
no. All right, so moving on to proclamations, we have F1, the Jubilee Parade Mayor's Choice Trophy, which I decided to award to Compass Childcare. Now, I gotta be honest, I did not see the float, so, because I was in the parade on a fire truck, and so I had to rely on some very trusted advisors to make this decision. And I think they must have been pretty spot on, because it sounds like the ambassadors also gave you guys the award, so if anybody has a picture, I would love to see it. Well, I'm just being honest. I mean, my advisors were trustworthy, and they've decided well, so. But I would like to actually see it. Do we want to have them come up for a picture or anything like that? Or this is the first time I've ever gotten to do something like this, so. Okay, all right.
You guys want-
Yes, she was dressed as Mario and dancing around, and she really very much wanted to dress that way today, but I really
Said it would be cool if Mario showed up at the meeting.
That would have been cool.
And she was like, no, you cannot.
Yeah, no, so we're, okay,
Well,
so.
yeah.
And neither of us have ever done anything like this, so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. We're shy, because this is uncomfortable for us. We work with children. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Check out our Facebook page and look at all the fun stuff.
Well, I'm not on Facebook very often, so.
I'll email you some photos.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Awesome job, ladies.
And I should say thank you to everybody else too, the city staff and the police department and everybody that made the entire Jubilee Days a success. I think it was a lot of fun, and thank you all for the hard work you're putting in. Public Works, I know, has a lot of cleaning, and I know you guys on the police department, it's a pretty busy week and weekend, and so thank you guys for making that happen and helping out with that, so. All right, moving on to approving the city council meeting minutes. We have the July 5th council meeting minutes. Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Announcements, we have the city council meeting on Wednesday, August 2nd at 7 PM. We have the budget work session meeting on that same day, immediately following the council meeting. And we have the EDA meeting on August 2nd, immediately following the budget work session. Any council committee reports?
I do have one. So mine's a little bit long. This is from the June school board meeting. Mark Zebarth is retiring. He's had a long career with the CI school system, and he's been very influential in a lot of kids' lives, so I want to give him a special thanks. Gary Hawkins resigned from his seat on the school board. They temporarily replaced his seat with Tim Hitchings, and they're doing a special election November 7th to fill that seat. During this meeting, they talked about their preliminary budget planning. This is the 4th year in a row of a budget surplus, and the state legislature has allocated more of the budget surplus to schools. It was a significant allocation, but slightly falls short of transformational like the school board and a lot of school boards were hoping it would. Free meals are gonna start at the schools this year. COVID funds from the state and federal government are now completed and expended, although they're expecting to have lasting effects that they're gonna have to pay for out of their pocket from COVID. Enrollment trends are showing decreases in students through 2030. Currently, there's approximately 5,000 students enrolled in the school system. And last year, the school district spent $580,000 on snow removal. The most that had ever been spent on snow removal in years past was $210,000, so that was quite a big hit, as we experienced too here. The new bus prices have increased from $100,000 to $150,000 over the past 4 years. So they're planning to purchase 8 buses now, anticipating that the costs are gonna go up. And the school district's credit rating has become better, and they're able to issue better bond debt with lower rates. That's expected to save the district over $1 million in interest costs. Many don't realize how interest costs can totally debilitate business, schools, and families, so I think it's great that they've been able to manage their credit and work to lower the rate to save taxpayers money.
What did they, during their discussion, they had a decrease in enrollment that they're projecting through 2030, what do they attribute that to? I can think of a few reasons, but.
Yes, and it's the reasons you're probably thinking of. So they didn't expressly say, but I know in previous meetings they have said that homeschooling trends are up, I think 16% since COVID, and people are just disenrolling out of public school and going more private routes. They've said that in different meetings. They didn't say it in this meeting, but I mean, I think that's kind of to be expected with the current environment of the state of Minnesota especially.
And I think our Nate Rudolph and Chris Camp
Yep.
up there, they've done a great job, and they work hard. and
Correct.
But I can understand the reason for the decrease in enrollment, for sure.
Yep, I think our school board and school system's pretty good with that. This is kind of a stronghold for, values, so I'm proud of them. I wish the state would help a little bit more if they're taxing us so much, but then using it on worthless programs, but it is what it is.
All right, any other committee reports? We'll move on then to business item, which will be K1, and that will be the ordinance to consider amending Chapter 8 of the City Council.
Actually, we have a cannabinoid registration,
I thought you removed that.
just one of them, sorry. B, just the second one.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, sorry about that. So we do still have the original K1 then, so cannabinoid registration, resolution to consider approving the cannabinoid registration for Minnesota Stores LLC, DBA Dino Mart number 2.
Yes, thank you, and our applicant is present, so we thank you and appreciate that, and he has submitted all the necessary information and with the application and the fee, staff is recommending approval.
All right.
Can I ask a question here?
Yes,
So were you unaware that that you had to be present for the meeting to get it approved last time? Okay, no problem. I just wasn't sure if maybe, okay. I wasn't sure if maybe city staff wasn't clear enough or if we needed to clean up the paperwork, or I just want to make sure, so. I'll make a,
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Thank you.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, now moving on to K2, the ordinance to consider amending Chapter 8, City Council.
At the July 5th City Council meeting, the City Council did vote to approve a name change for the Park Recreation Culture Board meeting. It will now be changed to Parks and Recreation Board, so this makes that change within city code. And I did reference in that Chapter 8, in parentheses, also named Park Recreation and Culture, because it is listed in a couple other sections and other chapters, and instead of revising those as well, I thought that it was appropriate and made sense to just reference the old name in Chapter 8 with the new name. It has been posted for the required 10 days.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K3, the resolution to consider approving the request from Cambridge Area Pickleball Association.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a request from the Cambridge Area Pickleball Association to add lines, paint lines, and put up temporary nets for pickleball use on at the Academy Park. We currently have some pickleball courts temporary at Matson Park, which is heavily used for tennis. If you drive by daily, people are always playing tennis there throughout the year. So they have requested to put up temporary nets that will be put off to the side and be able to break it up into 3 different courts, I believe is how many nets they're adding. And we did check with the Arts and Science Academy, and they were thrilled at the idea. They were excited, since pickleball is such a fast-growing sport, that their students would also benefit from it. So we recommend approval.
Are they gonna change the name to Cambridge Isani area?
What's that? Oh, the pickle, I haven't heard that, but we'll suggest it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K4, the resolution to consider approving the donation box at the liquor store.
Didn't she want to move that one down?
No, I think she pulled it out of the consent agenda.
Or did you?
Yeah, it was in the consent.
Councilmember Merrill had asked before the meeting, so we were able to republish it when he asked.
So I had brought this up because I guess I'd like to see if there's anything we can do to focus on veterans, maybe working with Beyond the Yellow Ribbon to get more donation boxes out. I think veterans are a huge part of our community, and there might be a lack of sort of help for them, and I would like to see if there's anything we can do to help. So I didn't know if we could work with them to have another box at the liquor store or at other city offices or anything like that. I thought it might be a good opportunity to sort of talk about donation boxes for a good veteran charitable cause.
Or the Roundup, I think, works even better.
What's that?
You go in there and you buy a case
Oh,
of beer,
sure, yep,
it's
gotcha.
$23.40.
Sure,
You
yep.
wanna round it up to $24, that money goes into account for whatever you designate it to, and it could be Beyond the Yellow Ribbon.
Yep. So that's kind of why I brought this up. I thought it'd be a good option or a good opportunity. Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, they come in here every year, it seems like, and I think they're a great, they're in the Chamber of Commerce, they're always there promoting their events, and I think they're a great cause if we can help support them in any way possible to help support the veterans in the
Often do
community.
we, 'cause I know we do several different donation boxes throughout the year. We change it every couple months, it seems like?
Yeah,
or-
so the donations that we accept at the liquor store is actually organized by the MMBA, and they're usually sponsored by either Coors or Anheuser-Busch. Typically, in either May, June, or July, we do have a troop drive, which in years past, we have done Isani County Beyond the Yellow Ribbon. Keith was very familiar, and they've been in there numerous times. However, right now, Keith has not gotten any word that we are going to be doing a troop drive sponsored by MMBA. And we do typically, let's see, we have a pet drive, or they do a pet drive, fire department fundraiser, food supply drive, and a troop drive. So those 4 are typically what we do in a year, all organized by MMBA. So the city hasn't done any drives sponsored by ourselves for donations.
Would it be possible to do the Roundup type donation at the liquor store? Say if we were to say, would you like to round up to help veterans and then make it like a veterans account, or is that against code or?
During a certain time period or all the time, or what are you
yeah,
thinking?
It would have to be a certain time period, because,
Right,
so it won't interfere when they're rounding up for the fire department,
sure,
or else they're, it's gonna,
right,
you know.
yep.
I like your idea, Luke. I think we should do something. This is 45 days approximately. PO box out there year round and just change the donation name on it.
Yeah, maybe if there's like the,
So times when there's not another drive?
yeah,
Because I think the interest, or the benefit that we have of doing the MMBA drives is that usually that Coors or Bush, they do match the funds. So the organizations get double.
So is that something, does he go to the, board meetings for that?
Yes.
Is that something he could bring up?
To do it more often troop drives? Or-
Yeah,
He certainly could. Yeah, I can pass that message along.
That way
Like
we'd have
He
the-
said they usually do one every year, but he sent an email to the A to B distributor. I'm just reading his email, if they were going to be doing one this year, because he hadn't heard anything yet. And we're nearing the end of July. And from what he had heard, it was doubtful that it will still happen this year because they'll be moving into the next phase. So,
Well,
Did they
I
have
can-
time, did they have time for the pet drive this year?
they did the pet drive, yep.
But not the troop one? Seems like maybe their priorities are off a little.
yeah, that's why I brought it up, you know, there's,
I can certainly ask our legal department or our city attorney, and ask them if we're able to do a roundup at our discretion. I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
I want to address K4. I motion we approve that.
Sure,
This is
yep,
another
yep.
discussion that
Yep.
isn't tied to this.
yep,
So I motion to accept, or to go ahead with the donation for the fire department.
second.
I have a motion to accept the K4 resolution from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
aye,
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
But I do want to add to this, Luke. Yes, I agree with you. I wish we could do more for the troops. I did ask at one time when my son was deployed, if they could do a donation to send to the troops, and I was told we couldn't do that. So we had to go through like Yellow Ribbon.
yep,
The reason why we couldn't do that, and I do remember that conversation, is because the city could not fund it with taxpayer money to do that.
Yep.
So this is a little bit different.
Yeah, but I mean, I do like the idea of rounding up. I think we should, Ms. Wood should check with our attorneys what we can do legally. And maybe when they aren't having a drive like this there, they could fill that in.
Yep.
Run it, run it for a month, stop it for a month, run it for a month, so it doesn't become redundant.
yep,
Because people do get sign blindness, and they get blindness to those things
Yep.
also. So if you give it a break in between there, that would help. I wish, when I brought up the veterans discount at the liquor store, I meant it to be every day, and I got shot down. It was just one day a week, because there's many liquor stores that offer a veterans discount 7 days a week.
sure,
You know, that was my whole idea behind that. They paid the ultimate price.
mm-hmm,
Some paid more so than others. They
Yep.
didn't come home.
yep.
So, I'm not against any of that idea, none at all.
Yeah, if we could look into that, that would be awesome.
Does council want to possibly take action, make a motion, if the attorney says we are permitted to do so, doing that outside of MMBA? Do you want that to come back to council, or do you want to make that?
Just- I'm okay, just go
Today.
ahead and do it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, maybe we
But-
let Keith maybe
Yeah.
take care of that for us, and then he could bring it back to council and have it approved like this.
Yep.
And so we don't have to,
Maybe you can get signage from Beyond the Yellow Ribbon to help coincide with, you know.
I wouldn't
that
be
he can put out.
opposed to let them just keep working forward. If we have to take our approval for him to do that, I'd motion to allow that to proceed. And then that way, we're just cutting down more red tape.
Yep, I second that.
okay. So I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill to look further into doing a roundup for the yellow ribbon at the liquor store, and to take those findings and come back to council and get approval for those donations if we're able to. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
And I'd like to look into the boxes too. Was that part of that? Like boxes outside of, okay, yep.
All right, so now, let's see, we were moving, oh, yeah, so the mailbox discussion now is, what are we on, K5 now still? So back to that mailbox discussion, so,
I got a couple of questions that
yeah.
I thought of and I wrote down.
Yeah.
Or else I'd forget to ask, but, I guess, Mike, I got a few questions, simple ones. How frequent does it happen? And time of the day? Are they getting the mail, or is it not being delivered? And the length of time they're parked there. I think those things we need to know.
yeah, I mean, the resident, when he had emailed me about it, he was saying that it had been going on for a long time and that it was,
So he's not getting the mail?
not getting the mail, yeah, right.
It's not
Not
being
actually-
delivered?
Not being delivered, yeah.
Okay.
Which I'm
So-
surprised that he'd be the only one that would, I mean, maybe the people complained to the post office, I guess, but I mean, it's a pretty substantial size bank of mailboxes there on Park Brook.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, he
But
sent
he
me
was
a
the
couple
only
of
one that
pictures
complained.
where it was, well, yeah, I mean, lately anyway, but he sent me a couple of pictures where they've got, you know, a car parked in the front, a car parked in the back of it. I mean, so it's like surrounded, so I mean, they left it open, sort of, if they got out of the car
Well,
and, you know, but
Nothing against the mailmen, but they don't get out of there.
they do not, yeah, right. So,
Unless they're dribbling Amazon. And they have-
but yeah, they don't get out of the car, so yeah, so but yeah, I mean, it sounded like it'd been an issue for quite a while, and I don't know, Travis, he said he talked to an officer this weekend, I think, I don't know if you heard about that or, so yeah, that's kind of all I know about it, that it was over on Park Brook and that it's been going on for a long time, and he's not getting the mail on somewhat of a regular basis anyway, but his suggestion was that other cities have done ordinances where they say you can't park in front of mailboxes, or maybe it's even just a certain time where there's no parking, like from 8 AM till 6 PM, when the mail would normally be delivered within that window. But I think you had said that you didn't want to see something like that, right? That it would be,
Yeah, I mean,
Mail's all
because it,
over.
yeah, mail's all over, and even, we talked about it last, even Sunday mail delivery is a
Yeah.
thing now, you know?
Yeah,
So it's very challenging to enforce, especially the ones that talk after the mail's been delivered. I've read some ordinances like that, which they'd be non-enforceable. So you'd have to have a big window. I mean, you could do after 6 PM or something, I suppose, if you wanted to do that. But if you just drive through your neighborhoods and look at how many mailboxes are on the street,
Yeah,
and how
right,
many, how much no parking is gonna come on that street, I mean, that's gonna be a challenge to overcome as well.
I just, to me, it's common sense.
know,
Obviously,
yeah.
to most of us, it would be common sense not to park in front of your mailbox if you want to get your mail.
Hell, I
So-
don't park in people's front of people's garbage cans, because I don't know when the garbage man's coming.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
so-
it's like you said, it's common sense. But I guess back to this one in particular, if we could see about just painting yellow on it,
Or just contacting if it's the same vehicles parking there all the time.
I don't-
Is there a way we could just contact them and say, you know, it's,
what are you gonna
get
say?
mail when you're parked there every day? I mean, that probably would be a costless approach and maybe enough. Because you don't hear about this happening anywhere else.
It's came up from time to time. It's not a problem everywhere, but it's always an isolated issue at certain places. You know,
I
we
mean,
heard
if it's
about
the
it 2
same-
years ago.
Same vehicles parking there every time, maybe, which is,
I felt like it was different vehicles on the
Kinda
pictures,
unusual,
actually. It was like
but-
4 different vehicles that he'd sent me. So, I don't know. But,
Like reminder letters, I guess? I don't know.
well, what are you gonna,
Like-
it's not illegal to park there, so
Yeah.
what are you gonna say? You can't remind them to not do something that they can do. You know, they have every right to do it, apparently, so.
I don't know, it just seems strange.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they don't need to get the mail. But I don't know, I mean, I think maybe you take it as an isolated incident and you say, well, let's just paint that curb yellow and can we just go about it like that? Cause I'd hate to get into trying to craft an ordinance that was dealing with mailboxes. I mean, they're
I
all-
guess I'd try the officer talking to the people that own the
If
vehicles.
you want to go that
first.
route, I mean, we can try to see if we can make contact with the owner's vehicle and see if there's a
Reason why.
solution.
Okay.
have them go somewhere else.
You'd be willing to do that then?
Yeah, we can try to, I think if that solution doesn't work, you know, then you can figure something else, but
Okay,
we can try to work with that.
I
My
think it's
concern with
better.
the yellow is the yellow that's painted for by the fire hydrants and corners right away, or the line of sight, is all in statute. So there's that backing
Gotcha,
behind if they
okay.
don't. I don't know.
so the yellow
if we-
paint itself doesn't
It's not the
necessarily
yellow
have
paint,
any
right,
teeth,
so
yeah.
I think for PD to be able to enforce, if someone parked there was yellow, how would they enforce that? If it's not in statute, it's not in city code,
Well, it's in city code that it's illegal to park there, but where's the authority to put it there, is where, was where,
I was
where it
thinking,
comes from.
like I said,
Right,
they did this
Yeah.
at work. Is they actually went out and put a stake in the thing, do not park in front of my mailbox.
Yeah,
We do not get our mail if you are parked here.
if people just
And
knew
then
about
maybe
it,
that's
yeah.
something he can address.
And if council's direction want to go that way, I'll talk to you after and get the location and
Okay.
give us a week or two and we'll try to just make contact and
Okay.
see if we can resolve it.
Well, if you're willing to do that, then that sounds like maybe the easiest solution then. Okay.
It's just
Well, I mean, Grace,
crazy
you
that
can't
someone
believe
would
it's a
park in
problem,
front
right?
of their
Yeah,
mailbox.
yeah. All right, the consent agenda, any questions on anything there?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Any other questions at all?
I have one
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
On M4. So I noticed that Sprint, they were supposed to decommission their stuff before the water tower got painted, but now I see that there's still remaining equipment up there. So is that person that's decommissioning that gonna paint over wherever that equipment comes off? Because if you have bolt holes in a metal structure and you're gonna take that off after it's painted, you're gonna have exposed metal or rusty metal that could rust and then it'll make its way down. So is that something that they're gonna touch up, or why was it not taken off before like it was supposed to be, or?
so the Sprint equipment that's still there is the little house that you see. They came in with a crane to remove that brick house that held their communication devices, not what was on the water tower. And we sent them away because we were already starting our water tower project for when they came in. So they got to come back and dismantle that building.
Okay, so there's nothing left on the tower of theirs?
Right.
Okay, good.
Okay. I did have a question on M1 there. So that Ford Explorer that's out of service, Travis, what are we doing with that? Are we gonna sell that, or is it up for auction or something like that, or?
Not yet. Right now, it's still sitting in our garage, and part of it is trying to, once we get our new vehicle, to see what transferable stuff will be on
Okay,
there.
gotcha.
And then, once we strip, we're just, rather than strip it and putting everything in a box somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
Trying to do that period, and then it will go to an auction for
Okay.
minimal, whatever they get for a vehicle that's in that shape, yeah.
Sure.
Is it a motor?
No, it's actually the whole rack and pinion steering piece of that puzzle. Yeah, it's already had a new motor a while ago.
So I have a question on this report here. This is kind of separate, I guess, but can you put the years on those so that we kind of know what year they are, because the years aren't on there, on that report? It's just something I was curious to see how long that Ford Explorer actually lasted.
Oh, the years of the
The year
vehicles?
of the vehicle, yeah.
Just off the top of my head, I'm saying 2014-ish.
Okay.
is my guess, but yeah, I can get that.
And how much was the rack and pinion replacement?
1,200 or something,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
And you thought that was just too much to keep putting into the car?
At that point where that vehicle is, it's, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you know how many miles are on that, roughly?
Doesn't
It's
say
not
on that.
miles, it's hours.
All right.
It should be on that.
No, it says out of service on here.
It doesn't.
I'm just trying to get a baseline compared to the other Ford Explorer.
2014, she's got, it's probably over 100,000.
130-ish, I'm guessing.
So that would be
120-ish.
Plus a
approximately
ton of hours, I'm
400,000
sure, yeah.
out,
So you're-
miles, hours to miles.
Sure.
Lots of hours, yeah.
So
So you're roughly thinking that the Ford Explorer 224 might be in the next 20,000 as well? That's why I asked, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the same year?
No, it's 1 year newer.
Okay,
And then on the capital plan, I mean, those are vehicles that we're not putting a lot of money into them, and if they expire, they expire. And next year, well, this year we have the one vehicle, next year there's the 2 replacement, so that would kind of make sense that we'll probably replace that Explorer anyway after next year, because it's gonna start costing too much money as well.
okay.
the Explorers have been costing
Yep.
a lot of police departments a lot of money.
Yep,
in upkeep, so.
yep.
One other thing I was gonna ask on that, is it possible when we get that report, if we can show like the previous year to date too, so that we could see like comparison on those levels of crime activity? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't have, I mean, probably could go find it somewhere, but it'd be nice to just have it on that same sheet if we could, but,
I can see what we can do, or if it makes sense, just to
Okay.
attach an.
just
a
so I know,
previous
okay, are we
year.
going, how does that compare to years, last year versus?
Like maybe an average over the last 10 years for that, compared,
I don't know if we could get that far back
Okay, or
with
5
that number,
years
but
or-
yeah, we can figure out, I can check with records and see what we can come up with.
Or just even put in there up 10% from last year, or down.
Yeah,
10%,
whatever, yeah,
something
just
like
something so we kinda know, okay, should we be concerned, or is it on par for what we should expect, or, that kinda thing, but it doesn't look horrible, I just wanted to, just something to compare it to would be
Yep.
nice. And then it sounds like we had kind of a little deal go on over on Marion Street or whatever, that, everything was all right there, and the officer was fine, and just, I saw that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, we put out a press release and I think
Yeah.
that it should, it's the details that are there,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, I just, thank you guys for everything that you do. I mean, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but I'm sure when you're in the heat of a situation like that and you gotta deal with that and make that kind of a decision in a neighborhood, I mean, it takes
That-
guts to do the job that you guys do.
And the decision time?
Yeah.
On that one, you're talking fractions of a second,
Yeah.
realistically. I mean, he got out of his squad car, shut the door, and the dog came around the front, running around the front of ran around the front of the squad car. So that's your decision-making time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome that you guys are out there doing what you do every day, so.
I bashed him on Facebook for doing it.
Or it could've
Well,
been- it
what
could've
And that's, like I said the same thing. If it was me,
Yeah.
and I'm not an officer,
Yeah.
I would've done the same thing.
Or if it's your kid, or it's,
And
yeah.
it's been
yeah.
8 citations to that same person for that problem nuisance.
Yeah, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
could've
I don't
been-
like to see
yeah.
anything happen to an animal, but when it's at that many frequency, there's a problem.
Yeah,
It could have been a little child.
absolutely. Yeah, no, good job on that officer to take care of that situation. And
Council, to circle back to that mileage, the February report showed that Ford Explorer had 109,106 miles.
I see the police budget going up, and I just hate to keep spending money. It's, on new vehicles especially, because a new vehicle, that's $60,000-$70,000 or more, depending what you get.
It's public safety, just like the lights that
Right.
you want to add,
Right, oh, yeah, absolutely,
and the
but,
texting,
yep,
it's all public safety.
Yeah.
A squad car is a very important
It
piece
is.
of their job.
In the state that those vehicles are in, 221, 224, those are not primary patrol vehicles. Know what I want to trust your safety onto those vehicles as a
Right.
primary patrol vehicles. They're usually our CSO would be driving that, reserves driving that, and our SRO driving those as extra vehicles. But,
so if that breaks down, it's not necessarily the total end of the world in those cases, so that's what I'm
or
saying.
when they're going 100 miles an hour to an emergency, we're relying on something that's not held together with duct tape and baling twine, so. I mean, we need our vehicles to work 100% of the time. We don't have the luxury to say, I hope it makes it to this incident.
Right.
And that's why when we came up with our fleet plan with Becker and City Administrator Wood, that we were actually gonna phase those vehicles out and just get rid of them, but we had a value to use for those secondary patrol uses with the agreement that we're not gonna dump copious amounts of money into them to keep them running. But if it didn't cost a lot of money, we could use it for their SRO, the school resource officer reserves, and stuff like that. So those are the secondary patrol vehicles. They're not primary patrol vehicles, just because we need our primary patrol vehicles to be the ones that are
Right,
reliable, 100%. Not hopefully, but 100%.
And the ones that you're talking about buying that are budgeted are not replacing those, they're replacing the current primary ones that are gonna
Correct.
move down to being the secondary ones, so.
Correct.
I had 100, on a squad car that's got 100,000 miles, that's the equivalent of your car having 300,000 on it.
sure, yep,
Because of the hours.
yep,
So
sure, I get it,
if you want to drive your car 100 miles an hour that's got 300,000 miles on it, you might,
yep,
if you look at it that way, it's
Yep.
not safe for the public or the officers.
All right, any other discussion, any other communications at all? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned, and we'll move on to our budget workshop.